This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 426 of Horse Tip Daily, a different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you one day at a time. Today's tip is sponsored by Kentucky Performance Products. Visit them at kppusa.com. Howdy, everybody, and welcome back to Horse Tip Daily. I am Glenn the Geek from Lexington, Kentucky. Well, we have today, we're going to do something a little different today. On Fridays now, we have a segment on the morning show called the Customer Service Corner. And we have Katie Watson that comes on from Kentucky Performance Products, our sponsor for this particular episode. And she had an interesting segment last week that I thought I would share with you. So again, if you listen to the morning show, this might be a little bit of a repeat for you, but I know most of you don't listen to all the shows, which is why we steal these segments from the various shows. And Katie did a segment on joint armor and exactly, what are joint products and how do they work. And I thought it was very interesting, and we thought we would share it with you here on Horse Tip Daily. So this is Katie Watson of Kentucky Performance Products on joint armor from the Horses in the Morning show for the 25th of March. Speaking of horse health and things that we should eat and not eat, let's talk a little bit about health.
Yeah, hey Katie, good morning.
Good morning, Jamie and Glenn. How are y'all?
Good. It's Friday.
Yay! Hooray!
That means I get to sleep in past 4:45 tomorrow morning, so I'm kind of excited. That's why I get a little punchy on Fridays. But I wanted to talk to you, Katie. Last time we talked, I've mentioned that I wanted to find out more about joint armor. And so I've come up with some questions that I think anybody that's considering putting their horse on a joint supplement, it's that as they get a little bit older, I would think that they need a little bit of help. So I've come up with some questions to ask you about why you think our horses need joint supplements. So my first question is, why is it important to have my horse on joint supplements?
Well, anytime you're giving your horse a joint supplement, your overall goal is to promote healthy joints and optimal joint function. And this is important because horses with healthy joints are more likely to maintain soundness, perform better, and stay active longer. Anytime that there's damage to any of the tissues in the joint, lameness can occur. So when you're giving your horse a joint supplement like joint armor, you're providing the joint with key elements it uses to maintain those tissues in the joint.
Okay, so, like I was telling you guys before, I have a warm blood who has been a performance horse forever. He's had some injuries, but he's now 12 years old, and I can just tell he's getting a little slower to warm up than normal. So, with all of the joint supplements on the market, and you mentioned joint armor, what sets that one apart? Like, what makes that one better than because I go to the feed store or the tack store, and I look at the wall, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? How am I supposed to know? Yeah, it is. So what makes joint armor better than the rest of them?
Well, what sets joint armor apart is that it benefits both the cartilage as well as the synovial fluid in the joint. Many of the other supplements are out there on the market usually target one or the other. So with joint armor, you're really supporting the joint as a whole. And another thing that sets joint armor apart is the level of the active ingredients. Joint armor has higher levels of glucosamine, chondroitin sulfate, hyaluronic acid, and manganese sulfate. And this ensures that your horse is getting what it needs to benefit the joint.
Is that MSM, the MSM thing you said, the last thing?
No, this is different. This is manganese sulfate, and it's a cofactor that helps with the cartilage.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so the question is, you feed your horse this stuff. How does it go from their tummy and travel through? I wonder about this about all medications, Glenn. I know we're talking about this too. Like, how does your Advil get to your head?
Sure.
How does
I want to take that further. How does it know I have a headache and not a footache?
Right. How does it know we have cramps instead of a headache? Advil is amazing. So how does it go from the tummy to the joints to say, like, oh, the hocks really need some lubrication?
Well, to put it simply, once the joint armor is ingested, it's going to be broken down in the digestive tract, and from there it's going to be absorbed in the bloodstream. And in the bloodstream, it's going to be carried down to the joint. there's going to be receptors and everything that will help it be absorbed into the joint so that these elements can take an effect in the joint. So that's
okay.
in simple terms. We can get very complicated, but...
Yeah, basically you're saying it's way too scientific for me to understand. It'll go to their belly, and they'll absorb their blood, and it'll travel down to their joint and say, I'm going to stay here. Okay, that makes sense to me. Don't get any more detailed. I won't understand. So if I start my work on the joint armor, clearly I'm shopping today, by the way, because I'm so curious about it. What results should I see, and how long is it going to take to see them?
Well, that really varies, from horse to horse, because they're each an individual, and not every horse is going to have the same condition. Results that you're going to see are some relief in the stiffness. He's going to be more willing to move, and you'll see an improved fluid motion in the joint. As far as when you should see results, again, that's going to vary from horse to horse and from condition to condition. The feedback that I receive from our customers is that they see an improvement within several weeks of putting the horse on the joint supplement.
Oh, that's fast.
Yeah, and one thing to remember is if your horse hasn't been on a joint supplement before, you're going to want to start with a loading dose for 3 to 4 weeks and then move to a maintenance dose. And this just gives the body time to increase the amount of ingredients in the system and get them to an appropriate level that's going to benefit the joint.
I know they say to do that.
I do that with potato chips, Jamie. I go with the loading dose first.
Right. And then once you're satisfied, you slow down.
Oh, Katie, thank you so much for calling in and putting up with us. I don't know how you do it, but bless your heart. We love you.
I love it. It brightens my day.
And that's kppusa.com, kppusa.com to find Joint Armor and all their other products.
Yes, and you're also welcome to email me at kwatson@kppusa.com. So that's kwatson@kppusa.com.
Well, I hope you found that interesting, talking a little bit about joints and joint armor and how those products work. I hope you've learned something from that. And thank you to Katie and, of course, my co-host on the morning show on Horses in the Morning, Jamie Jennings. If you've never listened to Horses in the Morning, you can catch those shows at horsesinthemorning.com. You can listen live or to the recorded version over there. And, of course, all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network are at horseradionetwork.com. Well, we'll be back again tomorrow with another new expert and a different horse tip. Until then, stay safe, everyone.
The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.